Hi everyone, welcome back. We just tried to do a live stream and unfortunately some technical issues were occurring. So we're just going to do this pre-recording. Hi Rumen, this is Rumen Kolev, everybody.
Hello.
Some of you are very familiar with him. Some of you might be new to the work of Rumen Kolev. Just a little bit of background on Rumen. He's an astrologer. I call him an astronomer, but he corrected me and said, no, I'm a mathematician, which is fine. Rumen has numerous books that he's written. He has an astrology software program called PLACIDUS 7, which I highly recommend, especially for the work. We'll discuss this today so you can understand why this program is important. No other program does what Rumen's program is capable of doing. Today we're going to be talking about Venus. Venus is now retrograde. She's going to be transitioning from an evening star to a morning star. That's connected to her heliacal cycle. We're going to be discussing all things Venus today. Um, with Rumen's background and Rumen's experience, Rumen works predominantly with the Babylonian system or Babylonian astrology, which is where the mother of astrology was born in Mesopotamia, Babylonia. So Rumen is deeply embedded in these in this lineage and these very deep and long lasting or long historical roots, very deep roots into where astrology was actually born as far as history is concerned. So Rumen's knowledge and wisdom is so vast. Every time I speak with you, Rumen, I'm always left with um, a wonderful feeling in my soul because I'm always learning something new. I can't speak to you enough. I wish I could have you here every week, but I know you have a life and you're very busy. Speaking of which, you have a program coming up in July for people that might be interested. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that program, Rumen? Because that's something that I really want to do with you at one stage. But I'd love for people to hear what that program is about.
Yeah, it is a in-person seminar in Varna, Bulgaria. Varna is on the Black Sea, and it starts on the 4th of July, 2025. So it will be for 9 days. There will be like actually three separate sessions, each of 3 days.
Mhm.
The first 3 days will be like it will be dedicated to Babylonian astrology the first day, the second to Hellenistic, the third to everything rest, like Arab, medieval, modern, and so on.
Mhm.
The second session, which also comprises of 3 days, we will talk about different topics about prognosis, about different hermetic texts, um, about new research, primary directions, everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, Also, a lot of practical stuff,
Mhm.
looking at example charts and so on.
Mhm.
And the last 3 days will be actually observing the sky
Mhm.
from some place which is very good for this.
Mhm.
There is some very ancient stone observatories very close to Varna, like 1 hour drive,
Mhm.
where it's very dark on the sea coast, and the energy is very strong there also. Very nice for observation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, it will be in-person seminar. The first 6 days will be in a teaching room,
Mhm.
nice place with.
Will it be recorded, Roman? Will it be recorded?
I'm not sure. We maybe.
Okay. All right. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 4th of July, Mercury will be visible,
Hmm.
and we'll be having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that last section especially is so it's so foreign to people. I know most astrologers um, have very little understanding about astronomy, including myself. I'm starting to learn a lot more, especially since I started learning from you actually in your program as well. But it is a big area, like a big hole in people's knowledge, you know. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity, you know, for people to be present with you in such a beautiful, gorgeous location where summer will be starting as well. And to have you, you know, a person who's so experienced, who has, you have done your own observation with your own eyes over many, many years in different places, which is what's helped you create the program as well. That the astrology software program that Rumen has created actually calculates for us. It shows us when planets will be visible and when they will become invisible in the sky, right? Which is the helical cycles or phases of planets. And it happens with all the planets, or at least the seven traditional ones. And it's an area of astrology that's not mainstream. Most people don't know about it. And certainly most people don't understand the absolute power and significance of it, which is a lot of what we're going to be discussing today, because Venus is not going to be going invisible in many places in the Northern Hemisphere. And the fact that people don't understand that, A, number one, that this is what's happening, and number two, why this is important. So, anyway, for people who are in Europe or who are able to make their way to Europe to be one-on-one, as it were, or with a small group with Roman, you know, you'd be very privileged to have that experience, because this is a man with a wealth of wisdom, a wealth of wisdom. So again, thank you, Roman, for your time. As I said, I love sitting with you. And so I'm just going to hand it over to you. I guess the first thing that I would like you to maybe share with our audience, um, what is a helical cycle? What does that mean? Why is that important? So two questions. We don't have to go into a big class about it, because I know it can be quite complex. I know there's a lot to it. But if you were to give a simple summary for people to understand who don't know what this means, how would you describe that to people?
Well, mm, the observation of the sky is actually the basis of astrology, because it is the sky that is the object of the contemplation, of the observation. And in ancient times, especially in Mesopotamia, this was what they did. However, in later times, even in Hellenistic times, they stopped doing this, and they resorted to schemes on piece of pergament, or in drawing some sketches. So they actually, from this direct touch with the sky, they went to some cerebral schemes in their minds. So they lost touch with reality, with the real sky, and they became prisoners of their own minds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The scheme, like
Mm-hmm.
reality, is something different from our schemes in our mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the object of astrology is the sky and the phenomena that which are happening in the sky. So the observation is paramount important.
Yeah.
Um, So this is this unity. Actually, astrology is this unity between sky, earth, and man.
Mhm.
So it's when this connection with the life living sky is cut, then we have a huge problem
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because like the hermetic principle, as above so below. But hey, do we watch the sky? Do we watch what is above?
Mm.
And what is happening on the sky, what we can see, and what is happening there is the writing of God,
Mhm.
the science on the sky. Astrology is this metaphysical science of the writing of God on the sky, of the science on the sky.
Mhm.
And if we don't observe the sky, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the heliacal phases
Mhm.
of the planets, they are called heliacal from Helios, the sun,
Mhm.
because this is the relation between the planets and the sun.
Mm. Yes.
And the heliacal phases of the planets are extremely powerful phenomena happening on the sky. The heliacal rising of a planet or of a star is when this planet appears for the first time
Mhm.
on the sky.
Mhm.
Because when the sun is close to a planet or stars, we cannot see them.
Mhm.
But when the distance is big enough, in some moment of time, in some day, we can see for the first time the planet appearing.
Mhm.
It is in the east before the sunrise
Mhm.
for the stars and the planets, and only for Venus and Mercury. They can also appear on the west after sunset.
Mhm.
So it's like these astrologers in ancient Mesopotamia, they watched the sky. Of course, the first that they were looking for, and it was maybe the first people, the first men who appeared, the first couple who appeared, Adam and Eve, or whoever. Um, Astrology was born with the birth of the first man and woman.
Mhm.
It is not a historical process.
Mhm.
Astrology is not a historical process, just like mathematics. Mathematics is not a historical process. It is not something that somebody 5,000 years ago figured, well, not figured out, but just concocted something. And then 500 years later, another guy added something else. And then astrology came to being. No, astrology is just like mathematics.
Mhm.
It is this uh, set set of truths which is sitting somewhere there in the high mental field, just like mathematics,
Mhm.
and waiting for us to discover it.
I love that. I love that. That's a beautiful way to explain that. Yeah.
Mm.
It's like consciousness, right? Consciousness doesn't have a past or it's just there all the time, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the historical process in astrology? This is this process of discovering these eternal truths,
Mm.
um, just like mathematics.
Mhm.
Um, and the historical process in astrology is only about the technical side, not about the deep metaphysical basis.
Mm. Got it. Yeah.
For example, we all know that the sun is the spirit. The
Mhm.
sun is the light. It is the life, eternity, the spiritual realm. And the moon is the world of the matter, of the stuff, of the materia.
Mhm.
Uh, and 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 this is not because somebody
Mm.
thousands of years ago decided
Right.
that this is so.
Yeah.
This is a metaphysical truth,
Yeah.
which is true for eternity.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Infinity. It has,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like two and two is four,
Yeah.
this is mathematical truth, which is true for eternity and for all worlds.
Mm. Mm.
So heliacal phases. So imagine you are watching the sky day and night, and you don't see Venus. Venus is not there.
Mhm.
Why? Because Venus is very close to the sun, and we cannot see her.
Mhm.
And then imagine one day, for the first time, just before the sunrise, when it is almost daylight, you see a bright star
Mm.
on an orange background
Mm.
in the hollow of the rising sun.
Yeah.
So this is the time when Venus appears for the first time.
Mhm. Mm.
And the same happens also with the other planets
Mhm.
and with the fixed stars.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what does this mean? What does this mean? What this could mean? Well, of course, something is not there, but in one day it appears. Well, this is the birth of Venus.
Mhm.
This is the very simple metaphysical logic.
Mhm.
And when a planet or a star disappears, they disappear in the west, um, and it is around sometime after sunset when the sun approaches the star or the planet. This star goes lower and lower on the horizon, and becomes fainter and dimmer, and one day you don't see it anymore.
Mhm.
So what does this mean? Well, this is the death of the star.
Mhm. Mhm. So
And this is
there's a rebirth and there's a death going on, right? When a planet disappears, or when a planet appears, let's start with that. Venus appears on the eastern horizon just before the sun for the first time. That's her being reborn as a morning star, right?
yes.
And likewise, when she disappears over on the west, then and that was the rebirth of her. And now we go to the other side where eventually she will, in her cycle, she will disappear out of the sky. Not always, as we're about to find out, but in most cases, yes. When she disappears, that is the death. That is a transformative process of Venus where she goes into the underworld And then we have that whole other story and mythology and so on and so forth that exists around Venus in the underworld. But relative to heliacal cycles, what you're saying is when a planet first appears or a star, that's the birth. When it disappears, that's the death. So we have this cycle of death and rebirth going on, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mercury and Venus, they appear when they appear in the east before the sunrise. They are morning stars
Mm-hmm.
because they are like heralds of the day.
Mm.
And when they are morning stars, because they orbit the sun closer than the earth, then don't they um, they don't get too much distant from the sun. Um, so at one point they become stationary, and then they become direct, and then they disappear.
Mm.
So when they appear in the morning in the east, they disappear after sometimes again in the morning in the east.
Okay. Right.
But Venus and Mercury can also appear in the west after the sunset. They stay for some time, like evening stars,
Mm-hmm.
because they appear in the beginning of the night,
Mm-hmm.
and then they disappear again in the west around the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
But all other planets and the fixed stars,
Mm-hmm.
they always appear in the east, and then they always disappear in the west.
Okay. Got it. So Mercury and Venus are different to the other planets, aren't they? They have a different cycle, different.
Different, yeah, different kind of heliacal cycles. Yes,
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got, a basic sort of overview of heliacal cycles and what that looks like astronomically in the sky. We understand that when Venus first appears, we'll just stick with Venus because that's the primary subject for today. When Venus first appears, that's the rebirth, new cycle, and then
yes.
she disappears. That's the death, the end. She goes into the underworld. So at this point in time, 6th of March today, 2025, Venus is now retrograde. And we know that around the equinox time, Venus is going to form a conjunction with the sun. And we are currently in the evening star phase of Venus, which is Aphrodite. And as she continues her journey in the evening sky, normally she would disappear, right? And we wouldn't see her. And then at some point, whether it's a week or a month or whatever it may be, at some point we'll see her be reborn as the morning star, that's the cycle we are in now. We are finishing the evening star and preparing for Venus to be reborn as the morning star around about the equinox time. However, from what I understand from you and your program, this particular cycle it has something quite what's the word? Well, not only
Extraordinary, interesting.
thank you. Yes, something extraordinary about her cycle at this time, because for most latitudes in the northern hemisphere, Venus is not going to disappear. And as far as I understand from your teachings, well, with I don't know the teachings on every other planet, but I certainly do have a good understanding about Venus at least. When Venus doesn't disappear, which is what's going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. She's going to finish evening and just be born into, so complete Aphrodite evening star. be reborn into Pallas Athena morning star. So leaving the what's a good word for the evening star? It's more spiritual, more mental, more it's not so physical, right? Because the morning star is a lot more physical, Pallas Athena. So she's coming from love to the created world. I think you've used that phrase before. Is that correct?
Um, yeah, she's actually she in some northern latitudes, Venus will be visible for several days as an evening star and as a morning star.
That is phenomenal. That blows my mind. And I can tell you now, pretty much most people do not know this. Most people do not know this.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, and I encourage people all the time, Venus is in the sky as an evening star. Go and watch her, watch the transition, when she finishes that cycle and she's reborn as because you like you said at the very beginning, one of the biggest components of having this um perhaps an embodied experience, right? Really connecting with the sky, with the infinite truth, if you like. We must, have that embodied experience ourselves and go out and see it and observe it, right? Because without that experience, which is a visceral embodied experience, we're just on our computers like this looking at charts. It's not the same thing at all. And here we have this golden opportunity for certain people, as you said, in certain northern latitudes, they will have that opportunity to see one night Venus is there, and then the next morning they're seeing her rise. Like it's all happening, kind of simultaneously, if you like. It's quite an extraordinary thing, right? I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. So tell us, if you can, Rumen, why is that important at the moment with this particular cycle? What do you think that could reflect? I mean, we can speak a little bit about collective things if you like, and then maybe we can bring it back to perhaps some personal things that people might want to consider for themselves. So, how would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. First, we can briefly talk about what is the metaphysical meaning of Venus as an evening star and as a morning star. As an evening star in Mesopotamia, they called her Ishtar of Uruk. And as a morning star, they called her Ishtar of Akkad. So we can gain some understanding of what does this mean if we know what was the city Uruk like and what was the city Akkad like.
Mm-hmm.
So Uruk, this was the city of Gilgamesh.
Mm-hmm.
Uruk was, I would call it, Paris of Mesopotamia.
Mm-hmm.
So there they had all kinds of arts, all kinds of beauty, literature, poetry, beautiful women, hymns, music, and everything which pertains to Aphrodite.
Mm-hmm.
And Akkad was a city of warriors, of war
Mm-hmm.
and strategy,
Mm-hmm.
which pertains to Athena.
Pallas Athena, yeah.
Yeah. So someone, you know, can say, okay, but we don't have this written by the Hellenistic astrologers. You
Mm.
know, they will not call the evening Venus Aphrodite and the morning Venus Athena. Yes. However, in Mesopotamia, they did it,
Mm.
and and also in the time of Alexander the Great, when Alexander the Great conquered Babylon, he had with him many scholars, astrologers, philosophers, and they gathered with their Babylonian colleagues, and they made something like a table which divinity in the Mesopotamian pantheon corresponds to divinity in the Hellenistic pantheon.
Hmm.
So, of course, they made this connection between Aphrodite and Ishtar of Uruk, and between Athena and Ishtar of Akkad, and all other divinities. Actually, it is curious maybe to say that they had problems only with one divinity from the Hellenistic pantheon, and this was Apollo.
Uh-huh.
Because Apollo is such a complex divinity, um, actually, some historians and scholars of mythology, prominent scholars, they say that Apollo was the divinity of the Hellenistic world, because we don't see any similar divinity in the other pantheons of the other cultures.
Right.
So in the end, they decided that Apollo was a mixture of Shamash, the sun,
Mm-hmm.
and Nabu, Mercury. So,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
That's okay. That's really interesting. So that's why when um, morning Mercury as a morning star is Apollo, and
yes,
Mercury as an evening star is Hermes.
Hermes, yes.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Now that makes sense to me. Okay. Mm.
And for this fact that actually Mercury as a morning star is Apollo, we have even evidence. There is one rock in the present day Turkey, I believe, where a horoscope of a Hellenistic king of Babylon is carved out. And
Ah,
there, Leo, and then several planets there, and um, it was written the names of the planets, and in Mercury case, they wrote Apollo.
wow. Okay.
So it's something which is logical in the metaphysics. And
Mm.
also, there is another interesting fact that in the Mayan culture, the Maya from Mesoamerica,
Mhm.
they had very developed astrology and astronomy.
Mm.
So most of their manuscripts of their codices were burnt,
Mm.
but three codices survived.
Right.
And in one of them, guess what? In one of them, there was a, a text about Venus as a morning star.
Mm.
And guess what they associated with this Venus as a morning star? They associated strategy and war.
Mm.
So, that's why astrology is not a historical process. It's not something that people concocted,
Mhm.
but this is a metaphysical truth.
Yeah.
Because this culture of the Mayans, they didn't have Mesopotamian priests to tell them this.
Mm.
They discovered this themselves by metaphysical logic.
Right. Yeah. Hmm. So
So yeah,
it's undeniable that the Venus morning star, even when you do look historically, or whether you want to explain it astronomically, historically, mythologically, culturally, what you're saying is that through the ages, there's been a very strong link and identity with the morning star Venus associated to war strategy and things of that nature. It's undeniable, right? Yeah.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. Um, So we'll talk now about the pentagram of Venus,
Hmm.
which turns around in 8 years. And this pentagram, it's like um, it can be connected with the human body.
Mm.
It has a head, arms, and legs.
Yes.
And so, where is the head? The head is the place where Venus appears very, very high,
Ah. What?
because the head is the highest part of the human body.
So when you say Venus appearing high, you mean literally in the sky, right? When she's right. Okay.
High, I mean higher than the ecliptic.
Ah.
Yes. So I'll just make some more cacao and be back.
Okay, I'll pause it. Okay, so we were talking about the high place of Venus relative to the pentagram. The pentagram, you explained, has a head, two arms, two legs. We can superimpose that pentagram onto our chart, which you can show us in a moment with your program because it's brilliant. That shows us the five places of Venus's appearance over an 8-year period, right?
Yes.
So the head of the pentagram, you're saying, is generally the highest place of Venus. And my question to you was, does that correspond to her highest place astronomically, like in the sky?
Yeah, it corresponds when Venus has very northern latitude. This means that Venus is above the ecliptic,
Okay, great.
and she is very, very high in the sky, and this is for the northern hemisphere, of
Hmm.
course. So actually, yeah, this pentagram is the five places on the zodiac where Venus appears
Mhm.
for the first time.
Mhm.
But you can build a pentagram also with the five places where Venus disappears,
Yes.
or where Venus conjuncts the Sun.
Right. Right.
So let's see it here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's look where. I'll share the screen.
Do I need to give some sort of co-host thing or yeah,
I think I see here.
you
I
can?
see here that I'll try to share.
Okay.
Yes, I'll send you a request to
Yeah.
share.
Okay.
Now I think I can share.
Mhm.
Okay. You see it?
Yes, yes. So this is a chart for today, 6th of March, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you walk us through this pentagram we're looking at right now?
Okay. Pentagram of Venus. So here you can build this pentagram with where she appears for the first time in the morning or the evening,
Mhm.
or where she disappears in the morning or the evening.
Which is
So
fantastic. Unbelievable. No other program does this, guys. And once you understand the sheer importance of what it means for a planet to appear for the first time and or disappear, when you understand what that really means just in your own life, this it's invaluable information. And this is the only program that actually does this, that shows us. And all you have to do is click a button. So simple. Okay, go on. Sorry, Rumen.
So this is the pentagram in this present cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and Venus is now here, you see. So she is on evening star.
Mm-hmm.
This here is the horizon. Let me show you the horizon so you can understand better. The horizon, I will switch on, switch off.
Uh-huh.
This is the horizon. If I go, let's see, let's go several hours back in time so you can see how it works.
Is this,
Okay,
is this chart located in Varna?
Varna.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
The longitude and the latitude is right here.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep.
The date is here. The first line is the Gregorian date, and the second line is the Babylonian date.
Right. Okay.
So right now the sun at this time here, 5th of March, 5:58 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is exactly on the western horizon,
Mm-hmm.
and as you can see, Venus is high above the western horizon.
Okay. So those dotted lines with that little star, that's what that is showing us, that her beams are beyond the ecliptic. Is that right?
The ecliptic is this orange circle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and okay, so when the sun is setting, because Venus is high above the western horizon,
Right.
with progression of the darkness of the setting sun, she will become more and more visible.
Right. Yes.
Uh, Actually, right now, also Mercury is very bright,
Yes.
at least in my latitude where I am right now, 43 degrees north.
Mm-hmm.
So here they are.
Mm.
Saturn is invisible.
Yes, I want to ask you something about that if we have time. We'll see.
Yes. So Venus right now is retrograde,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and look what will happen if I go and progress with step of one day, how this will change.
Mm-hmm.
Venus is moving closer and closer, being retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it seems to me that somewhere on the 23rd of March,
Mm-hmm.
it will be exact conjunction with the sun
Mm-hmm.
on the ecliptic.
Mm-hmm. And that is above the horizon.
Okay, now I will, if I put the sun exactly on the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
she will be still slightly above. So in my latitudes, mm, yeah, you see, she will be still above the horizon. If I change the latitude here, I'll change now the latitude. I'll go, let's say, 53 north.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's see. At this time here, yeah, you see where is the sun and where is Venus. The sun is almost exactly on the western horizon,
Mm-hmm.
and Venus is above it. So Venus will be like uh 3 degrees and a half above the western horizon. And then, so I think she will be invisible at this time, maybe a day earlier. She will be still visible, at least for 53.
What are some of the places in latitude 53 so people can because a lot of people don't understand the terminology of latitude or so what are some of the places 53 north?
Oh, well, I think Germany,
Uh-huh.
somewhere there, Sweden, Germany,
Okay.
northern part of England. Well, you can just check in the internet for different cities.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Coordinates and you put London or Montreal.
Hmm.
So here, definitely, definitely on the 20th of March,
Hmm.
Venus will be visible as an evening star and maybe also on the 21st. So now I'll go to the next day.
Hmm.
I'll move here to the morning of the next day and we will see what will be the relation here. Oh, I got too much. Yeah. Okay, so in these days,
Hmm.
21st, 22nd, you see now the sun is a little bit below the eastern horizon.
Right.
And look where is Venus. Venus is above. You see it, right?
Well, I mean, visually I just see Venus sort of below the sun, but I hear what you're saying because
Well, look, the
you're
horizon. The horizon is this one here.
the green line. Ah, okay. Okay.
So Venus is like 7 degrees above the horizon. The sun is 1 degree below. So these days, 21st, 22nd, and maybe several days around this, for the latitude of 50 degrees north, Venus will be visible both as an evening star and as a morning star.
Wow.
But you see, it will be better with this here. I'll show you now the 3D model. So you see, this is here. Yeah, this is the eastern horizon here,
Mm-hmm.
and look, Venus, how high in the sky is.
Wow. And this is for the date that we were just working with, right? The
Yes.
22nd of March. Yeah. Wow. That shows us so clearly, because it's a 3D model, so you can really, yeah, you can really see it here. Just how, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And in the constellation of Pisces.
In the Babylonian constellation Pisces, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
So it's
another thing for us to hopefully maybe talk a little bit about because she appears in the constellation Babylonian zodiac Pisces, but she appears in the tropical zodiac Aries. So I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, but anyway, that was good just to see that visual in a 3D model. So anyone around that 50 kind of latitude up north is going to have that opportunity to literally see Venus one moment as an evening star and in the morning as a morning star. And I mean, how often does this happen, Roman?
Once in 8 years.
Right, right. So it's once in 8 years opportunity, although 8 years doesn't sound like a long time. If you miss it, then you have to wait another 8 years. Plus, you need to be in the right latitude to be able to witness it. So, mm,
What is important here
mhm.
is that if we go to the first of Nisan,
Can
which
you tell people what that is? First of Nisan?
the first of Nisan is the day of the first crescent of the moon after the spring equinox,
Right,
because the Babylonian calendar was a solar lunar calendar. The year started with the first lunar crescent after the spring equinox.
right,
This was the beginning of the year.
right,
This was the first month and the most important.
right.
The
Mm,
beginning of a cycle is the most important.
mm.
And what happens in the first month of the year is extremely important for the whole year.
Right.
And
So
let's now go.
if we relate that comment to Venus, how would how would you describe that? Like Venus's appearance relative to Nisan? Like what's the connection there?
Well, look here. Okay. Here is shortly before sunrise,
Hmm.
and you see Venus high above the horizon.
Hmm.
And this is on the 1st of Nisan.
Right. Okay.
And if we go to the 3D, let's see. In this moment, on the 1st of Nisan, this is how it will look.
Hmm.
You see,
I see.
the the red line is the horizon.
Okay.
I can get rid of the grid. The red line is the horizon. This yellow is the ecliptic.
Hmm.
And this is the sunrise. And Venus is high above the eastern horizon on the first of Nisan. Saturn and Mercury are invisible.
Right, right. So does this make Venus more powerful being,
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
yes. Of course.
Yeah.
It's like the signs on the sky in the first month are the most important for the whole year.
Right. Right.
And when Venus is visible in the first month, shortly after appearing, this will be different for the different latitudes. For example, if I'll change a little bit, let's see, if I go to not to 53, but to 33,
Hmm.
which is somewhere Jerusalem.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, it will be not a big difference. Again, it will be almost the same relation. And there is something else here. Uh, okay, let's put again 53. Okay, so if we go to the 3D model again, it it is very important also exactly where does Venus show up.
Hmm. So
Mm,
you mean the degree and the constellation, right?
yes, the degree and the constellation, but also the place of the horizon.
Mm.
As you can see here, these lines here. Okay, let me get rid of the horizontal grid. Okay, you see these lines.
Yes.
I will these are called the paths of Enlil, Anu, and Air. Now I switch them off.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll switch them on. So these three regions here above the horizon. On the north here, this is an Enlil. In the center is Anu, and in the south is Air, the three divinities in Mesopotamia. So every divinity is connected with a country.
Right.
For example, this middle region,
Mm-hmm.
which was the path of Anu, was um, if Venus appears there,
Mm-hmm.
there was Omen in Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
which was regarding Elam. Elam was a country to the east of Mesopotamia, in the present day Persia, Iran.
Right, right.
It
Okay.
was very very powerful too. So they had sometimes they had good relations, and sometimes bad. They had wars between them. So Elam was to the east of Mesopotamia. And when Venus appeared appears as a morning star, she would appear in the same direction.
Mm.
And if she appeared in the middle region, then this omen would say that the king of Elam will have no rival. The king of Elam will be very, very powerful.
Right. That's because Pallas Athena is helping him. That the energy of that morning star Venus, Pallas Athena, showing up in this middle region, which is
Yes,
So that's the Venus morning star energy supporting that particular region, right? Is that what you mean? Yeah. Okay.
yes. So if she appeared in the northern section,
Mm-hmm.
they would say that the king of Akkad or Mesopotamia would be very powerful.
Mm.
And if she appeared in the southern region, they would say that the king of Amuru, which was west, south, and west of Mesopotamia, the present day Syria, they would say that then the king of Amuru would be powerful.
Mm.
So, how the question now is how can we relate this to the modern times?
Right.
So, you see, in these times, the center of the civilization was Mesopotamia.
Mm-hmm.
So they in the Omena texts they will relate to this center as a cat,
Mm-hmm.
a cat, uh, and Elam, which was to the east of the center of the civilization, um, was to the east, right?
Mhm.
Elam. And to the west and south was Amuru. So,
Mhm.
okay, if we think which geographical region is the center of civilization for the present time,
Mhm.
I would guess that it is Europe,
Mhm.
or at least maybe the last stretch of this period, maybe. But still, right? Europe was the center for how many? Maybe for the last 500 years,
Mhm.
if not more.
Mhm.
Um, and still to some degrees. So I would associate a cat
Mhm.
with Europe and maybe also with the United States.
Mhm.
I will associate Amuru, which was to the south and west of a cat, with the present day, maybe like Africa, Middle East, Latin America.
Mm.
And actually, in the time when this omina were written, Amuru did not present a major rival.
Mhm.
There were like in some periods here and there, they will spring up some powerful regional king, but by far the most powerful states were Akkad, Mesopotamia, and Elam.
Mhm.
And who is Elam? Well, Elam was to the east of Akkad. If the present day Akkad is Europe, then that's Russia and China.
I see, I see, I see. Very interesting. Mm.
So I guess I guess this omen here
Mm.
will will be very good for Elam.
Mm-hmm.
That they may be successful in their objectives. Mm,
So Russia?
well, yes.
Mm. Interesting.
Mm, so also there, I can actually show you
Mm-hmm.
where you can find this omina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is in this book here. You see Babylonian Planetary Omens.
Mm-hmm.
It is by Erica Reiner and David Pingree.
Mm-hmm.
And here are gathered many omina with Venus.
Right, right.
And I'll show you exactly where this omina is. Um, Also, there is also one omen about Venus rising in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the path of Anu, in this central path, because every planet has a path.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mars has the southern path,
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter and the Moon have the northern path,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else has the middle paths, including Venus. So when Venus rises in the morning and her light is nice and powerful, then this means good for the whole world.
Mm.
I'll show you now where this omen is.
And is that what she's doing this time? Is that what is it going to be like that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank God. We need some good things to happen.
So here you see, if Venus becomes steady in the morning, which means steady in the morning means that her light is steady. shining bright. This probably will be the case. The people of the entire land will eat abundant bread.
Mm.
Enemy kings will become reconciled.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay, so well, I'm in the southern hemisphere and she doesn't appear straight away. It's a bit different for me down here. But anyway, we won't focus too much on that because I think most viewers are from the northern hemisphere anyway.
Also important is this omen here. If Venus at her appearance stands halving the sky, which means that she's exactly above the point east on the horizon, like halving the eastern horizon.
Okay.
Uh, okay, that will be down the highways of the land. The land will see good fortune. There will be fine peace in the land.
Hmm.
Well, nice. Mm, yes. Also, on the next page, there are several omena concerning this. 19. Okay, 19 probably not. Let's see, 22. Maybe 22 is not also relevant here. 26 is. No, this is also not the case. But you see, a lot of these omena,
Hmm.
they have some cold words. So it's not easy to understand
I was
what.
about to say that. I think
Uh,
a lot of people would struggle with the interpretation, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's why we've got you here, Roman,
Well, yeah.
to help us understand the interpretation of these omenas, these omens. So, from what you've shown so far, there's some good omens with Venus in this, new. Well, it's kind of like a rebirth, but it's kind of not because she's not going to go invisible in many places in the northern latitudes. Um, So we've established that number one, she will be visible both as an evening and morning star, certain latitudes, 50 north. We've established that, so basically that means she's not going to go invisible at all at certain places in the northern latitudes. She's finishing her evening star phase and she will start her morning star. So she's finishing the Aphrodite energy, which is love, beauty, poetry, art, and so forth. And she's coming into Pallas Athena, which is the warrior goddess, the pantheon goddess of Greece, Athens, who specifically correlates to wisdom, strategy, and war. But with what you're showing us relative to the appearance of Venus and the correspondence with her connecting to, I've just forgotten the name, the first
The
day,
horse.
the,
Uh-huh.
the first
Nissan,
day,
Nissan.
the sun.
Yes,
So the fact
Nissan.
that she correlates with that alignment as well makes her even more powerful again. And it also demonstrates what's going to unfold really for a year, right? Because you said that 1 month shows us
Yes.
what's happening in that first month is going to determine, if you like, what will likely manifest over the next year. So we really want Venus to be happy in this position.
Yes. And uh, you see here this omen. Okay, if Venus rises in the path of a new prosperity of Elam.
Mhm. So can you explain that in English?
Well, yeah, Elam was to the east of uh, Mesopotamia. So if Mesopotamia we take to be Europe, then this means that to the east of Europe is Russia.
Right. So is Russia going to um, back down? You know, are they going to try and find some sort of resolution harmoniously? Is that what this is showing us?
Look here at this omen. If Venus becomes visible in the path of Anu, which is the central path, the king of Elam will have no rival.
Hmm.
So, also, because Venus is rising in the Pisces,
Hmm.
uh, then this may be connected with waters, with floods, probably.
Hmm.
And for individual charts, for people, um, everyone who has um, who has something around this place where Venus is rising.
Which is it 9 degrees, Roman?
Well,
Pisces?
this depends. This depends what we're uh, in at which latitude we're looking at. Let's see. I'll go to the yeah. Let's see. Uh, it depends for which latitude
Hmm.
we're looking at. Right now, we're looking at 53 north. And if I go to tropical,
Hmm.
well, this will be around the spring equinox,
Hmm.
like a little bit before, like the last degrees of Pisces and the first degrees of Aries.
Right.
Because here you see it's Venus should be visible even on the 19th of March for this latitude. Let me go a little bit. Yeah, you see, when I point to Venus, I'll see here down at this place here, I see the altitude. Wow, yeah, it will be visible on the 19th of March. Um,
At 9 degrees Babylonian, right? Just to clarify again.
um, no, this here is tropical. Well, look, actually,
Babylonian up the top, right? 9 degrees, Pisces, Babylonian.
no. This here is tropical. If I switch to the Babylonian, I am switching now.
Hmm.
This here is Babylonian. But you see, the main thing is that everybody who is born around the spring equinox
Hmm.
will have extremely important, powerful year.
Hmm.
Because also we have here Saturn and Mercury.
Hmm.
And this will be, because we have there invisible Mercury and Saturn, I guess there will be also some contradictions, some arguments behind the scenes, some kind of war going on, which will be with blows below the belt and with some hidden moves,
Mm.
which will be global. This
Mm.
will be global
Mm.
for the whole world between the countries, between these different groups in the United States and Europe, you know, we can see this beginning right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The world is boiling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So
and
because Mercury and Saturn are invisible,
mhm.
so can we say like that there's hidden agendas, that could be with words spoken, with contracts, deals, things like this.
Oh
Mercury,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. There will be war. Well, I mean war, probably not with Kalashnikov, but with all kinds of different means. Um, war between different political factions in Europe, in the States, in the whole world, actually. Mm,
Even though when we looked at some of the ominoes before, it indicated that there'd be no.
peace. Well, yeah. The Omen said that there will be peace in the world, but this will be this means that there will be not outward war with tanks and rockets,
Ah,
right?
right.
But there will be war between the political factions
Got it. Right.
because Saturn and Mercury are there.
Yeah.
And when Saturn and Mercury are together,
Mm-hmm.
they can make this is in individual charts or in some other, they can make in their low vibrations,
Mm.
they can make for very huge deceit,
Mm.
for some schemes and lies. When they are in their high vibrations, these are people with extremely sharp concentration, people who can achieve many goals because of the concentration. Powerful people in their inner mentality, in their inner structure, in their psychology, and very perceiving, like people who can look through everybody.
So just to distinguish here between the two differences, the low vibration that you're referring to is because Mercury and Saturn are invisible, right? And the higher vibration of what you just explained of people who are perhaps high achievers and so forth would be Mercury and Saturn visible, just to draw that distinction.
Well,
Is that right or
I
not?
will I will relate this more to whether the person is born during the day or during the night, because
Mm,
Saturn is a day planet,
yes.
and if this conjunction is during in a birth where the sun is above horizon, then this has more chances to be the higher vibes.
Mm.
If this happens in a night chart, there are more chances to be in the low lives. But also we must take account where this happens in which house, and whether we have other planets aspecting. For example, Mars squaring them will be not very good.
Yeah.
So most of the time, this this is this, these are mixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see people with this conjunction very high vibes, some people low vibes, but many are mixed.
Hmm. So
So
in the case of this point here, like, because it looks like Venus is caught, between Mercury and Saturn, that those vibrations, right? She's sort of in between them, at least, anyway, if not in the center.
yes,
She's in between them. So she's almighty and very powerful, Pallas Athena, shining bright, not disappearing, but she's held by that vibration of Saturn and Mercury, which are invisible.
Yeah, plotting in
Plotting.
the plotting from the dark.
Mm.
So we can go in time and see when will Saturn become visible.
I think it's in
And
April.
pardon?
I think it's in April sometime.
Yes, it is somewhere in the end of April. So, well, it's because I'm very north. That's why in my latitude it will become visible. Well, maybe in the end of May, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, let's see.
I think it's different, yeah, for the southern latitude. Yeah.
Aha, here,
Morning.
here.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Saturn becomes visible 453 latitude on the 22nd of May.
Hmm. So because Saturn corresponds to the what I call the consensus construct of reality, you know, the systems, the governments, the politics, all that sort of stuff. And because Saturn is invisible at the moment at such critical political times in certain parts of the earth, namely USA, Ukraine, Russia, you know, all those places. You said before that that energy of Saturn when it's invisible, like these people, they're showing a particular face and they're saying something, but there's hidden agendas, right? Which there always is with politicians anyway, right? We all know that. It's not that's
Yes,
a brainer. But
yes.
there's something more sinister, I think, at play here with these individuals, perhaps, you know, with what they're showing, what they're saying, but what they're plotting behind the scenes, yes? With Saturn invisible.
Um, Something important will happen to the in the end of May because here Saturn will become visible for many of the northern latitudes, and also the moon will be there at the same time.
Hmm. So the moon's light makes it more powerful, more significant. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, the moon is like a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For example, like you see on the 23rd, this will be the situation.
Hmm.
And here we can also look at the lunar orbit. Let's switch on the lunar orbit. So you see now uh, the perigee is here in the Babylonian constellation of Aries, which is not very far away from the place where this conjunction takes place.
Hmm.
So this means that this will be a lot of more powerful because this will add magnification here.
Mm.
So there will be a difficult strife. Uh, I I suppose that Venus will take the upper hand, but in the end of May there will be some kind of difficult times globally and for everybody who has something there. I'll switch quickly to the tropical so that people who are used to the tropical. So this conjunction happens in the tropical areas here.
Hmm. You mean the conjunction between
Yeah,
Saturn?
moon, Venus, Saturn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. In tropical.
So yeah,
Okay.
and because Venus makes her transition from evening star to morning star
Mm.
exactly around the spring equinox, which is this orange circles here you see,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they are also the beginning of the tropical areas, right? So this transition happens around the spring equinox, and because this conjunction here of the moon with Venus and with Saturn, who becomes visible, and on the top of this also the perigee of the moon is very close.
Mm-hmm.
This will be a lot of tumult here, a lot of freaking out. Uh, every time when the moon is very close to the Earth, which is the perigee, many people freak out, especially if this coincides with the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will change the latitude here. Let's see. I think for 43, Saturn will rise earlier. A lot of earlier, yeah. So the more south I go, the earlier will Saturn rise. Uh, Here. Yeah, for 43, it will rise maybe on the 26th of April. Yeah, right now it rises. And the moon is there too. So, okay, what is the latitude of Sydney?
Sydney, it's pretty close to Melbourne. 30, 35, 36.
Minus 35.
Yeah, I think that's Melbourne actually.
Well, it will be.
It's close enough.
Yeah, it's, let's see if I go. Mhm. Wow. Yeah, here around April 11th,
Mhm.
Venus is stationary, Saturn is visible, and also Mercury is visible. So there will be Mercury shows up as a morning star
Mhm.
on the 4th of April for this latitude, for 35 south. Yeah. At this time, Saturn is in a helical phase. He has just risen 5 days before that. Mercury is rising on the 4th of April, but I must change maybe. I must change here the extinction of the atmosphere. Okay. Yeah. And also, the northern lunar node is also at the same place around the spring equinox. So many things there. It will be very decisive here. And this time, from somewhere from the, let's say, from the 20th of March until the end of May will be extremely important, tumultuous, and I hope this will be for the best.
Mhm. Mhm. So can we go back a little bit more to the personal side of Venus a little bit, just to help people understand how they can think about this Venus cycle for themselves. So you mentioned before that people born close to the spring equinox perhaps might find this cycle more significant if they were born around that time.
Yes.
So and I think you said that Venus appears at the late degrees of Pisces, Babylonian. Is that right?
Um, Venus appears around the spring equinox, which is in the beginning of the Babylonian Pisces.
So it's early degrees Pisces. That's what I thought, because that's what I
Yeah, you see, this is here Babylonian,
right.
and yeah, and let me get rid of the lunar orbit to see it better. So, actually, for 35 south latitude,
Yeah.
Venus will appear as a morning star on the 28th of March.
Mm. 28.
And
Yeah.
here we will have also the moon and Saturn in a helical phase. Saturn in a helical phase means that here you see here MF4,
Mm.
which means that Saturn will rise helically, will appear on the sky 4 days after the current day, which is the 28th of March. So
Right.
it will be like on the 1st of April.
Right. Right.
And this time period, plus minus 7 days from appearance of a planet or from a disappearance is very, very important period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this orange circles is the equinox.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody born around the 20th of March, plus minus 7 days, or anyone who has this point, the spring equinox on the ascendant or on the meridian, on the MC or the moon there, this will be crucial time.
So what degrees are we talking about that people should look for in, can you give it to us in Babylonian and tropical? What
Well,
degrees?
spring equinox is 00 RS tropical,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and in the Babylonian it is the fifth degree of Babylonian Pisces.
Okay. Okay.
But it is much easier
Mm-hmm.
to think about, yeah, it is about the other planets, but the sun, the sun is there in the spring equinox on the 20th of March.
Mm-hmm.
But for the other planets, the moon, ascendant, MC, descendant, or even other planets like Venus, Mars, we must know that this is 0 Aries in tropical
Mm-hmm.
and fifth degree in Babylonian, fifth degree Pisces in Babylonian.
Right. So can you go beyond 5 degrees, or does it have to be 5 degrees? Can you go 4 degrees
Oh
up?
yeah, oh yeah, plus minus 5 degrees, 7 degrees.
Ah, okay.
Oh
Thank
yeah, because
you. Okay.
because there will be for the different latitudes,
Yeah.
this will be like some kind of stretch,
Yes.
not exactly a point,
Yes.
but
Yes.
a stretch of 10 or even 20 or even 20 degrees where,
Uh-huh.
but this will be around the spring equinox.
Right. Got it. So people need to just focus on the spring equinox date, which is around the 21st of March. But as we saw, Venus is going to um, be seen as a morning star pretty much on the 23rd of March in the northern hemisphere in most places, as we looked at. In the southern hemisphere here, she doesn't appear till about the 28th of March. So it depends where you live. I live here in the southern, so I'll be focusing on that date. But also, you said that we should be, expanding the width of the orbs of the degrees, because based on latitude, it will vary in terms of the degrees where she shows up, right? So
Yes.
I suppose in an overall sense, we're really looking at Babylonian, quite a bit of the maybe up to 15 degrees Pisces, let's say. And then in tropical, we'd say again, 0 degrees Aries to maybe 10, 12 degrees Aries, something like that. So if,
Plus
Plus,
plus minus, let's say plus minus 5 to 10 degrees.
okay, okay, all right.
Vernal spring equinox plus minus 5 to 10 degrees.
Okay.
Look what you have there in your chart. Many things here. You see, like we will have here Venus rising, Neptune. We will have Saturn. We'll have also the northern lunar node,
Mm.
and this will happening in the first Babylonian month. And yeah, and we have also the perigee of the moon. So many things coinciding. This the last week of March until maybe then this will go in April, even maybe in May because the different latitudes. But all this period will be very loaded with high energy, with a huge change globally and for people who have their something.
Right, right. So if someone doesn't have planets at those degrees, um, or they don't have an ascendant or the meridian close to those degrees, will it possibly mean that they will not feel the effects as much?
Well,
Or,
because this will be global also.
yeah.
They will feel it as coming from the global changes, but not so much in their personal lives. But people who have their something, sun, moon, ascendant, MC, planet, then there will be huge changes in their personal life.
In relationships?
Relationships, yes, Venus, career, Venus as a morning star. Um, actually, I think this will be a restructuring because I believe Venus will take the upper hand sooner or later.
Mm.
But there will be a process of restructuring. Globally, there will be several tumultuous months of contradictions, of some kind of hidden schemes behind the scenes between countries, between factions.
Yeah.
It actually already started, but then it will be the apex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, from a personal level, again, because I know most people are interested in their own personal selves, which is why I keep bringing it back to that. Um, this can be quite a beneficial time because of how bright Venus is going to be, immediately, right? As we've shown, demonstrated with a 3D model, with the charts here, with the dates of visibility in the southern hemisphere, the date of visibility in the northern hemisphere, the different latitudes. It does change based on latitude, so you've always got to really know your latitude and when Venus appears relative to your own location, in other words, geographical location. And if she appears next to your sun or your moon, your ascendant or your midheaven, those are very, very powerful points for Venus to appear there. What about the descendant, seventh house? Would that be powerful?
Again, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And this is a Pallas Athena cycle, and you say, Roman, in your teachings that which surprised me when I first heard it, but now I seem to understand it a lot more. Pallas Athena, morning star energy, in other words, if because some people are born as a morning star, some people are born as an evening star, and then we have the transiting cycle of the pentagram, morning star, evening star, etc. But the morning star, you say, putting it very simply, is much more stable in relationships, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this energy, because it's beginning a new 8 year cycle, right?
Hmm.
So this is a new sort of 8 year cycle, uh, with maybe new relationships coming in that could be stronger, um, stable, as you say, versus.
Yeah, especially this first cycle of 9 months, because she will be visible until November.
Mm.
Yeah.
So is that like new people coming into people's lives, just really kind of, because I can remember when Venus doesn't do that appearance, disappearance, underworld thing, right? When she doesn't, sorry,
Hmm.
say that again. When she disappears and then re-emerges as the morning star, for example, she appears bright and quickly, right?
Yes.
And then as she continues her journey in the sky as a morning star, she disappears slowly. Is that right? As a morning star. She comes in quickly and disappears
Yes.
slowly.
Yes.
So, because I've heard you say that in terms of relationships, that's people coming into your life, with like full force right there, energy bursting. They just come really quickly. Um, and then they might disappear very slowly out of your life. And the opposite
Yes.
is true of the evening star energy. She comes
Yes.
in very, very
Slowly.
mysteriously and slowly,
Sneaking.
in the sky,
Sneaking.
sneaky.
Sneaking.
So, and then she disappears like a flash, and I've
Oh yeah.
witnessed that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've observed that. So, in this case, however, we're seeing Venus as a morning star, new cycle. She's going to appear strong, bright. You've pointed out in different uh, geographical locations relative to ancient civilizations and how that corresponds to specific parts in Europe, USA, and just relative to the text, the omens that say when Venus appears, etc., etc. That they're very positive omens overall. But we've also identified with Mercury and Saturn being invisible, and then the conjunction that comes up later in May, I think it was, with Saturn, Moon, Venus. There's something behind the scenes that's being plotted. We can already see that, as you said. But yeah, from the perspective of our personal life and relationships, this is a brand new cycle. Venus is very, very strong. She's coming into the created world, this material world. Pallas Athena, fully equipped with wisdom, right? Strategies. As you said, we might have to restructure some things as well in our life. The restructuring
Hmm.
process will probably show up for us, and we need to identify that ourselves because it's different for all of us. But overall, this is a very it's
Beneficial.
beneficial. It's a more
Beneficial.
positive vibe of Venus, isn't it? In
Mhm.
this time, in this cycle.
Anyone who has some important thing around the spring equinox, I think they will experience some very positive time, like love, strong kind of connection, new relationships, success, money. Even Venus is connected with money. Success in career depends where exactly she appears. If this is the MC, this will be career. If this is the descendant, or this will be some kind of partnership, very very nice. If it is the sun, this will be higher love.
Mm.
If it is the moon, you may have a new house, or you may get settled down with a very good, nice partner. So depends where this will happen. But all over, if this happens on important point in your chart, this will be very beneficial.
Hmm. That's really good news because a lot of people will have that. They will have Venus showing up next to the sun or the moon or the angles, as you pointed out. So, those of you who have that, you should really be very grateful because it's a blessed time, I think, at the moment with Venus, at least on that personal level in our lives. But like Rumen said, it depends on, where she appears in your chart. So you can always contact Rumen if you want him to show you in your own chart, where Venus appears and how that will influence you. I'm learning how to work with charts in that way. I'm certainly capable of talking about Venus with you, so you've got a choice. But Roman is a lot more experienced than myself with the Babylonian teachings, obviously. So it's up to you. But this, today it was more of a general kind of overview and discussion, a broad and general overview and discussion of what's happening with Venus at the moment. And the main things are she will not go invisible in most parts of the Northern Hemisphere. She's going to be bright, strong. Roman has explained to us that this is more of a beneficial time, even according to, ancient texts and so forth. So it's something to look forward to. I mean, for me personally, she's not showing up anywhere in particular. My Venus, oh, hang on. No, she is. She's going to be conjunct my Babylonian Venus.
Well, uh, where is your Babylonian Venus?
Third house in tropical
No,
chart.
no, I mean sign and degree.
25 Pisces in tropical. So she's a,
25 Pisces in tropical.
yeah.
Well, this is like 5 degrees from the equinox. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. This will be strong for you. Very, very good, very nice.
I hope so because I really need it. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, and I can empathize if people relate to that, but I can do with something really nice. Been a long time. Yes, okay. I completely forgot that yeah. So that's good. I'm happy with that. Is there anything else you'd like to say or express or share before we finish up, Roman?
Um, Astrology has no limits. Knowledge has no limits, and the universe has no limits.
Yeah, you're such a Sagittarius. I love it. Big picture, infinite, it's just and optimism too. But it's true. What you're saying is true. Of course, there are a lot of different reasons as to why our mind at certain times can't perceive that, can't think that, or why we can't feel that. Different things happening in our life circumstances, but regardless of that, what you've just said is a truth. Whether we are aware of that or whether we are connected with that is a different story. But it's an infinite truth, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
And
just
I wish good luck to everyone who is watching this video. Good
yeah.
luck.
Thanks, Roman. We wish you also the same. And thank you so much for your time. It's always a blessing and a pleasure to have you here. I always learn something new. I always say it because it's true. It's just, yeah, I'm always blown away by the the vastness of your understanding. Thank you so much for being with us again today. So we'll see you guys soon. We'll try and do a live sometime. I'll try and figure out how we can do that because I know a lot of people do want to speak to you directly, Roman, and ask you questions. So we have to figure out how to do a live, and we'll do that soonish, soonish. We'll see if we can do it before July. Depends on you as well, because I know you've got a very busy schedule, but maybe we'll work it out and yeah. Okay, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Leave your questions and comments below. I'm going to have Rumen's details underneath the video description in terms of how you can contact him and the different things he has available and so forth. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you soon.